Alright, Cancer, happy birthday and welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your July 2026 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as will be in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Cancer, is the first house, all the way through to Gemini representing the 12th. After that, we'll pull an oracle card as well for some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Guardian of the Night Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, we'll be using the Spirit Animal Oracle. And we're going to start the reading off by rolling some astrology dice to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have Mercury. And definitely makes sense to see this come up for you guys because, of course, we actually have Mercury retrograde starting up on the 29th of June. And it won't really be in direct phase until the 23rd of July. So pretty much for the majority of your birthday season, we'll have Mercury retrograde. So that makes sense. And yeah, it's going to be in your sign the entire time. All right, we have Leo. So really makes sense to see this come up as well as far as we get toward the end of the month, around the 22nd of July, we'll actually be entering into Leo season. Currently, we have Venus there as well. It'll be there until the 9th of July. Jupiter, actually, at the time recording this, hasn't moved yet, but on the 30th of June, it'll be moving out of your sign and into Leo. So that's a pretty significant move there as well. And toward the very end of the month, the South Node will also enter into Leo. So quite a bit of activity going on there. And we have 11. So 11th house energy for you guys is Taurus. In general, 11th house points to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes. And astrologically speaking, there's not a ton going on in Taurus, but I will say that we have Chiron pretty much has just entered into there, so that's a pretty significant shift as far as that goes. So yeah, so maybe you'll be going through different stages of healing in that area of life. So we'll keep all that in mind as we go through the main spread. So for the first house, pointing to personality, self-awareness, and appearance, we have the Empress. So definitely a good energy to see in the first house for sure. Could just be saying that you'll be feeling very comfortable this month, very much at home, Could just be saying that you might feel like you're attracting things more easily this month as well. And that could happen during your birthday season in general, right? Even if it's just more casual attention as far as your friends reaching out to wish you happy birthday, things along those lines there, right? But I feel like this is saying for some of you it's going to be a little bit deeper than that, where you're actually going to just feel very comfortable this month. Alright, so for your second house, which points to possession, self-worth, and finances, we have the King of Swords. So like we mentioned for you guys, it's Leo energy, and we pointed out all of the energy that'll be moving around in Leo as we progress through the month of July. But seeing this here, I feel like this is saying you can have a more intellectual approach to things when it comes to your finances. I feel like you're going to be a bit more sharp when it comes to your financial decisions as well. So maybe you've learned some lessons recently around those kinds of things, and now you're going to be carrying them forward with you in a much more confident way. All right, so for your third house, which in general points to communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Two of Pentacles. Now, seeing this here, this is a Capricorn energy for one, which is your opposite sign. But more than anything, what comes to mind with this is we were just talking about, right? We saw Mercury come up with the dice. We were saying how you're going to have Mercury retrograde in your sign for the first few weeks of July for the most part. So there's going to be a significant feel for you guys there as far as that goes. And it could just be as simple as that, right? It could just be saying that you might feel like you need to repeat things. When you're speaking to people this month, you might feel like you need them to repeat things to you as well, right? So it could be a two-way street as far as that goes. But yeah, it could just be saying you might feel a little bit indecisive when it comes to communication this month, as far as what you're saying and what you're receiving as well. For your fourth house energy, which points to home roots and family, we have the Page of Pentacles. So yeah, so this could just be saying that for some of you, maybe you're starting something new around that area of life, right? Maybe your family's expanding for some of you, but what I feel is a little bit more likely could just be saying that maybe you're investing more into your home environment, right? So for some of you, it could be renovating. Some of you could be more to a bigger extreme of just moving altogether. But I feel like for the majority of you, it's more of like renovating or maybe just even just picking up some new nice things for your home environment. So that's what I see with that. For your fifth house energy, which in general points to romance, creativity, and children, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So yeah, so in this area of life, you could just be saying you might feel like you're losing some momentum. So maybe with a creative project, for example, you might feel like you're having the urge to abandon it, right? Because maybe the the energy that you brought into it in the beginning, right? You might have felt more optimistic about the way it would unfold, and now as time's gone on, you might feel like, okay, feels like it's hard to keep it going, right? Maybe it's not paying off to the extent that you thought it would have. For some of you, that could also extend to maybe more of a romantic sense as well, right? Where maybe someone that you saw some potential with, you might feel a little bit less optimistic toward that at this time, too. For your sixth house energy, which generally points to health, work, and daily routines, we have the Star. So this is the major arcana card for Aquarius here. And what I'm getting from this could just be saying that maybe for some of you might have gone through a bit of a rough stretch with your health, right? So, I mean, so people always think Jupiter in their sign, oh, that's going to be a great thing, a positive thing, right? But one other way Jupiter transit could manifest, it could just be saying maybe you get into a cycle of being a little bit overindulgent, right? So, for example, maybe as Jupiter is moving through your sign, you might have found yourself being a little bit overindulgent, and now that it's moving out of there, you're like, okay, it's time for me to recalibrate, right? Get a handle on things, get back into control. So that could be what's going on there, because the star is the energy that comes after the tower. So usually this is one of those things where it's a course correction, but usually after a period of difficulty. All right, so for your seventh house energy, which points to partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Six of Wands. So seeing this here, to me, this says if there's some kind of long-standing partnerships that you either have been in or entering into, this does say that there is potential for it to gain a lot of traction. This Six of Wands energy oftentimes points to an energy of victory, success. So this definitely looks like a positive there. So yeah, I feel like this is saying, again, I don't feel like these would be brand new dynamics. I feel like this is a situation that's already in your life, but I feel like you're going to be seeing some positive momentum around that situation, whether it be a romantic relationship or a business partnership. For your eighth house energy, which generally points to death, rebirth, and intimacy, we have the Ten of Cups. So definitely a positive energy to see here. This is Pisces energy, which you guys is your ninth house. So could just be saying that maybe you're starting to see things that you invested time and energy into paying off now. So some of you, like we said, that could be connected to a romantic connection. For others, this could be more around finances, right? We talked about with the King of Swords energy that maybe you'll be making some wise financial decisions. And if that's the case, it could just be saying you might already start to see the results of that coming in. All right, so for your ninth house energy, which in general points to philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs, we have the Six of Cups. So this is a Scorpio energy here, and what I'm getting with this, especially given that it landed in your ninth house, could just be saying that maybe you're getting reacquainted with some beliefs that you might have held in early childhood, right? Maybe a more innocent viewpoint on things, a lighter, more playful outlook on things. You could feel like it's coming back up to the surface for you guys now. And like we said, for some of you, maybe it's because you might have gone through a rough stretch recently, and now as things are improving around you, now you're able to be more relaxed and think back on those more light and playful times. All right, for your 10th house energy, which in general points to career and social status, we have the Five of Cups. so Scorpio energy here. And to see this, this does make me think of the fact that you guys have you have Saturn in your 10th house of career and social status. So that could be maybe what's making things seem a little bit heavier, right? Maybe things that were gaining traction and momentum initially, maybe they might be losing a little bit of steam now, right? And, of course, with the Five of Cups energy, there's a reminder that, yeah, there are some spilled cups, or in this case, they're broken altogether, right? But it does point out that there are still some standing, right? So it could just be saying that, you could leverage that disappointment, learn from it, and actually be better for it in the long run. But of course, it doesn't make it any less disappointing in the moment. All right, so for your 11th house, which we also saw with the dice, we have the Nine of Swords. So this is a Gemini energy here. And like we mentioned for you guys, 11th house is Taurus, and we have Chiron just entering into there. So Uh, like we said, it could be one of those things where you might have to heal from some past situations. For some of you, this could go back quite a ways, but I feel like this is just one of those things where the pain around that might have lingered for you guys for quite some time, right? So we see the artwork with the polar bears, right, suggesting that this was something that may have been on ice for a while, right? One of those things where like, okay, I'm not going to think about that. I'm just going to try to put it behind me, but now it might be coming back up to the surface for you guys to truly learn from it and release it now. All right. And for your 12th house energy, which in general points to spirituality, mental health, and blind spots, we have the Nine of Wands. So, not completely different from the Nine of Swords energy we see for your 11th house. This could just be saying that, maybe holding on to a lot of worry, anxiety around the situation, could just be taking its toll on you, right? And like we said, it looks like there are some indicators that you might be in a bit more of a lighter, more playful energy, but it looks like there's at least going to be some moments with the Seven of Pentacles and the fifth house, the Star and the Six to me says coming out on the other side of things, but we see the Five of Cups as well. I feel like this is saying you're just going to have some moments where you might feel a little bit overwhelmed looking back on some past disappointments, but it looks like things happening presently are more positive and will eventually help you pull out of that. All right, and bottom of the deck we have the Magician. So yeah, so whenever I see the Magician, to me I always look at that as a reminder that you have all the tools at your disposal to get through a situation, right? So whatever outcome you're trying to get from a situation, I feel like this is saying just to remember that you have more power to bring that to fruition than you might think. Even like we said, it's easy when you're going through some tougher times to lose sight of that. But I feel like this is just a reminder for that for you guys this month. But yeah, we'll pull an oracle card and wrap up with that. So like I mentioned, this month we're using the Spirit Animal Oracle, so I'm just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. Alright, we'll take this card here, get this out of the way, and then we'll see what card you got. Alright, we have White Raven Spirit, Trust in the Magic. Fitting, right? We were just talking about the Magician at the bottom of the deck for you guys, but we'll see what it says in the book. Alright, the Oracle message says, nothing in the universe is random, for the intricate web of co-creation weaves together all events and has done so since the beginning of time. Coincidences have meaning, and White Raven Spirit appears to remind you to pay attention to these synchronicities so that you might recognize patterns. Even winds dance in a pattern, participating in the magic of Spirit's plan for all. Align with the highest good and intentions, and you will come to see that White Raven is guiding you, an ally to you and a messenger from Spirit. Align with the light, and you will start to recognize that all is working together harmoniously in ways the eyes can't see and the mind can't always comprehend. The universe is conspiring on your behalf right now, drawing you to the drawing you to the light and bringing you the magic and miracles that are your birthright. Now is the time to trust in the magic of the world that is everywhere and in all things. Pay attention to how things come together as if by magic, and you will see the hand of Great Spirit arranging things in your favor. So yeah, definitely a positive message there, and like we said, to me that to an extent seems to point to, if nothing else, with Jupiter now moving into your second house, right? We talked about there's some good financial indicators at the very least for you guys, but like I said, it looks like partnerships in general could be going well for you this month. But yeah, once again, happy birthday, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.